What up guys, welcome to this week's video. We're going to do three things on this video. First of all, I'm about to show you the best breakfast ever. If you like your pro oats, your life is about to be changed. And then we're going to do a little bit of talking about food choices, carbohydrates and so on. And then we're going to do a little bit of my off-season update and see where we are 8 to 10 weeks before I finish this gaining season, which I'm kind of apprehensive about, but at the same time, an 11-week cut seems like a lot of fun, so we're going to get into it right now. I'm just getting breakfast made up and I'm about to make some baked oats, so I'm going to show you exactly how I make them. So start off with your oats, dry oats in a bowl. I've got 80 grams in here. One thing you need to make sure is these oats, when you put them in the microwave in a bit, they're going to swell, so don't use too much of a big portion. Start off with a small portion the first time you try it and then increase it more, but 80 grams is about the most I can get into one of these small bowls. Get some water in there. I haven't measured the water out, but you don't want to fill it too high. You just want to get it in. Get water in, mix it up, and then leave that for a few minutes to fully absorb all the water. So when it starts looking like this, just keep adding water. Only use a little bit of water at a time though, because when you add some baking powder or bicarbonate of soda in a minute, you don't want it too watery, but obviously I'll show you how you want it to look before you add the powder. When you first do this, it's obviously going to take you a few turns, a few goes to get it right, but with experience you'll start nailing it. Right, that's pretty much done. This is where most people would have finished making their oats now and then add their protein into that, but we're about to make this bowl blow up, so you've got a lot more volume. So what you do now is, so we have baking powder and our oats. Bicarbonate of soda is just as good, if not better, but this is how much you need. So just literally just go in. Literally just a sprinkle, so that's about enough. And then it's just a case of stirring this back up again. Stir it all the way in. Get that in the microwave. So get it in the microwave for 1 minute, but if you can, keep an eye on it inside, because you don't want it to rise over. You might want to check on it. For the first time, I check on it after 30 seconds, every 10 seconds. Okay, so that's just come out the microwave after a minute. That would have rose right up to the top. That's when you know it's had enough time. Sometimes it might need 50 seconds, sometimes it might need a minute 10, but you want it to rise so the oats come to the top of the bowl before spilling over. So give it a quick stir and whack it back in. It might only need another 15, anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds. So that took 25 seconds before it rose to the top, and I've just got that out now, and as you can see, it's dried right up. So what we do next we add the protein powder. I use this, and I obviously use my Reflex Instant Whey Pro. Some protein powders don't work very well with this because they've got an instantizer in there, so you'll add the protein powder and it literally just all turns to water, which is obviously rank. So you might need to try out a few proteins. I've used quite a few different brands in there when I've got like free samples and stuff, and obviously quite a few do work, but Reflex is one of them. So 0 on your scales, add how much protein you want. I'm having 37 gram to give me 30 grams of protein. So there you go, powder added, 37 grams, and I've gone for strawberries and cream. So what we do now is we've got to mix that in. And once we mix this in, it's going to get really dry, which I'll show you in a moment. But there we go. The protein powder is all mixed in. I put this down because the powder, it ends up making a mess. So, but yeah, as you can see, this is really dry now, and you definitely wouldn't want to eat it like this. But this is where we have kettle, and we carry on adding water. So we literally just add a little bit of water like so, and we just keep adding this and mixing it. And the more water we can get in this, the more volume you get basically. So just keep adding water until you get to your desired texture, but make sure you get quite a bit in there, just a little bit at a time. I'll show you what my end result looks like. So this is what it should be looking like at the end. It's quite a watery but really thick consistency, and as you can see in here, the amount of volume in there compared to at the start. If you were to not do baked oats, you'd need about 120 grams to get you like this. So when you're in prep, this breakfast is an absolute lifesaver. When I started diet, I didn't have this baked oats when I prepped last time, but this year dieting is going to be a lot more enjoyable because I'll be able to smash this every single morning. Also absolutely buzzing. I got this on my birthday last week, but I haven't tried them yet. So I'm about to have 50 grams of those Reese's Puffs, 80 grams of these. I'm going to smash this banana on those oats, put all that crap away, get a bit of cinnamon on there, and that is going to be breakfast served. Who would have thought? Tastes exactly just like Reese's. These are epic. Not the best macros in the world, and for the price of them, you're obviously not going to want to be smashing loads, but you make an epic cereal combo with these. So I'm looking forward to making some of them. What up guys, this is this week's little talk. I was going to do like a little bit of a post some more meals and stuff, but I filmed one, ended up watching it, and it was pretty boring. I was talking like a robot, so I thought I'd dash that out. I'd do some talking to help you understand a few things like I said I would do, and then I will film a little bit of what we're having for dinner, because we're making an epic little meal, and when you know how, you'll enjoy it a lot. So I'm going to get into what we're talking about now today. I'm going to talk about food choices and what so many people mess up. It's not so much mess up, it's just people worry about the smallest things when there's really no need to worry about it. So let's just say, for instance, good and bad carbs, that sort of thing. Everyone thinks when you have a diet all the carbs need to be perfect. You need to stick to this little list of foods. Then on this list there's sweet potato, there's rice, it needs to be brown rice, and if you're having pasta then it needs to be brown pasta and all this stuff, which is not true. So with your carbohydrates, don't worry about it. This is why tracking your food and learning about macros and calories is so important, because you realise that that is the bigger picture. It's like trying to run before you can walk. If you're worrying about what carbohydrates to have, you're worrying about the small picture when you need to be worrying about the big picture, which is calorie intake. Obviously, if you start a diet, if you're doing like a competition diet and you're a few weeks out, then you will really need to look at using these carbohydrates, which are just literally rice, sweet potato, that sort of thing. But that's only because you get a lot more volume of food, and when you're looking at carbohydrates, when you haven't got much food to play with, then they'll have very limited amount of fats with it. So say if you're having packet rice, you'll get 50 grams of carbs, but you'll also get 5 grams of fat with that. But if you're getting just basmati rice, then you'll get 50 grams of carbs and no fat. So that's where you're saving the calories. So that 5 grams of fat you're saving can be had on some peanut butter or another fat source. So basically, don't worry about it. Just don't think, oh, what carbs do I need to have before the gym, or what carbs do I have after the gym, or what carbs do I need in the breakfast. Just think about having carbohydrates. Obviously try and make good decisions. It's not just trying to fit crap in, but just get carbs that you enjoy. Don't think, I remember somebody saying, I remember somebody I used to speak to, they were talking about one of their clients, and they said he wasn't losing weight because he'd been having white rice instead of the brown rice that was like on his plan. The exact same weight, but he was having brown rice, and he accused his client of not losing weight because of that, which is just utter crap. It's not. Don't think you need to have, like when I write diet plans, like when I'm writing if I put pasta in for somebody, or specifically white, because it's a lot more enjoyable, and quite a lot of the time these things are actually lower calorie, so I don't want to go on too long. Carbohydrates, don't worry about it, just make sure you're in a calorie deficit if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to bulk up, again, make smart choices, aiming for a good balanced diet, then you haven't got to worry about these small things. Okay, so with protein, protein is a little bit more important. When I'm trying to put protein into my diet, I'll always try and look for the best sources, because protein is the most important one that's going to build muscles. So whenever you're trying to spike your protein synthesis, which is going to be 3, 4, 5 times a day, unless you're intermittent fasting, then you might only be doing it 2 or 3 times a day, but whenever you're trying to do it, you need at least 20 grams of protein, and you want to be trying to choose good protein sources. And I say good protein sources, what I mean is they've got a very good amino acid profile. To get the best out of your protein, you need a full amino acid profile basically, or as good as one as possible. So let's just say, just for a quick example, whey protein, very good amino acid profile. Beans, not so great, or pork might not be so great. If you pick some cheap ass wafer thin ham from the supermarket, which is like £1 for like a kilo, or if you're getting really good quality chicken breasts, just for a quick example. So let's just say mine is first thing in the morning I have whey protein, my second serving is beef and eggs, which is another very good one. My third is either chicken, or at the moment I'm off season, so I've actually been enjoying a protein bar, which isn't great, but it is what it is. And then again, I'll be having another very good protein source at night. So with your protein, try and keep it as good sources. And then we'll move on to fats. Fats in off season, well, to be honest, I don't like to say you should be eating differently in off season to competition, because the only difference is you've just got more fats to play with. And in off season, yes, you should be using those fats to enjoy your food a bit more, but at the same time you should be doing that in cutting season as well, because even though you'll have a small amount of fats to play with, you want to be using, say, 70% of them for like really good quality fats, like your olive oil or whatever, avocados. Then you need to make sure you're still having some poor fats as well. That might be in like a little chocolate bar or something like that, because these diet it needs to be sustainable. So I always preach to have that little bit of fun, that little bit of enjoyment of food in as well, because otherwise you'll end up losing your head after the diet, so on. That's a different message. We'll get to that video another time. Fats are very important, especially for males. They can help with all sorts of things. They help with your brain a lot. If you've ever dieted and gone very low fat, you'll realise your brain goes absolutely shot. After my last show, I didn't even raise my carbs. The first thing I did with my reverse diet in the first week was bump my carbs up by my fats up by about 30 grams, and oh my god, did I feel different. Just from the fats, my carbs were still on the floor, but just jumping my fats up, I felt like a different person. So again, I think with fats, you should be all or nothing. You either should be having the best fats you can find, avocados, oils, things like that, or you should be on the other scale, and it should be foods that you're enjoying and getting something out of, because then at least you're getting something out of it, you're not wasting them. Fats, I say, are for function and for enjoyment. Carbohydrates are for performance and again enjoyment, as long as it's with cereal. Well, I'd say carbs are performance, enjoyment, and hunger, because you can fill yourself up a lot, and protein is basically just for performance. So I don't want to drag this out, because I don't want this to be a super long video. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Carbs seem to be the biggest thing people seem to mess up with, because most people, especially if they don't already understand this, they don't really worry about fats. So if you're thinking about having meals, if you're trying to lose weight and you don't want to track, don't worry about what carbs, just think about carbs. It's more the portion is a lot more important. So if you're going to the gym in the morning and you don't want it, and you haven't done your macros or your calories or any of that stuff, and you want to know what to have for breakfast or for lunch, you just have a small to moderate portion of carbohydrates. I'm not going to say my hand or my fist, because I
that wouldn't be something I'd use. If you do use it and it works, great, but for me, I've never done that. So just use common sense, use a small to moderate portion of carbohydrates that you enjoy and can have every single day, and then look for a lean protein source. That's another thing a lot of people go wrong with. They'll be using chicken off the bone and things like that. Whenever you do things like that, you get a lot more fat in them. So look for your lean chicken breast, your turkey breast, your eggs, egg whites. Make sure you're having a lot more whites than the fats, and things like that. I'm going to leave this little bit right here, and I will show you. Little physique update. I've been away for the last 5 or 6 days, and I've got exactly 8 weeks left of gaining. 2-week holiday before I start the cut. So this is what I'm looking like in the gym lighting. This is obviously, I've just done a little bit of abs, train legs, so I've got no upper body pump, but this is what I'm looking like anyway. I think I've currently got about 3 pounds maybe left to push. I'm not gonna try and gain too much, but yeah, so this is what it's looking like anyway. I know I was going to film this and do like a step-by-step on how to make these pizzas looking epic, but I have filmed a step-by-step. I'm going to put it on my Instagram, so if you're not following me, put it on there. It's an epic little step-by-step, but I'm about to demolish these now. And again, thank you very much for watching this video, and if you haven't, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. I'll see you next time.